looks like we have quite a few people coming on. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Denver, Frank, how are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Thank you for asking.
Doing all right.
All right. We have a few people coming in. We'll give them a minute or two, and then we'll get this thing started. Well, I gotta say, I'm going to make a little small talk while we get a few more people in the door, but I live here in Atlanta. The weather is 84 degrees. I think it's a bit warm for this time of year. How about you, Frank? Where are you?
Just south of Boston, a little town, Plymouth, Mass. Looking at the
Plymouth.
Mayflower floating right now, and 70 something. So beautiful day, which we have been overdue. So it's good to be here.
Excellent.
I know the feeling, Frank. Cleveland is, I think it's supposed to get down into the 50s or 40s maybe in the next week. So, you know, I was in Florida this past weekend, got to see some 80-degree weather, sunshine. It was awesome.
Yeah, oh, that's great. That's great. Well, by my clock, it shows it's 1:01, so I guess we can get started. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Bruce Orr. I'm the CEO and Chief Data Scientist at ProNovos. And with me today, we have Denver Sperry, our ACE and Implementation Manager. Denver, you want to say a little something about yourself?
Yeah, it's a pleasure meeting with everyone today. I've been with ProNovos for about a year and a half now, heading up the implementation team. And I come from the world of foundation software where I did implementations there for about 10 years. So integrated 100, probably 200 plus accounting transitions from their old system into foundation. So really excited to kind of share what we have to offer, you know, with ProNovos and how it can integrate with foundation.
Well, thank you for that. And last, but of course not least, we have Frank Di Lorenzo, who I might say is a bona fide tech guru in the construction industry. Frank, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, Bruce, thanks. And first of all, I just love the way you said my name. That was great. Thank you. I've been around the construction technology world since about 1986, owned and operated a company implementing an older ERP called Timberline. I was responsible, in charge of, or participated in about 700 ERP implementations, which was fun. I survived. I'm still here to talk about it. And then the last 4 years of my career, I was working more on the data analytics side of things. And all I can say about that is I've had a lot more fun on the data side than I ever did implementing union payroll and financial statements and the like. But I have a strong passion for the industry. And I'm here today because I've been really intrigued about what I've seen in ProNovos. I think they just may have cracked the whip code, as I call it. So I'll save the rest for later, but it's great to be here, Bruce. Thank you.
Well, listen, we're thrilled to have both of you here as we dive into the power of ProNovos and refer to ProNovos as your secret weapon in financial data management. And I'll just talk about what we'll do today. So we're here to supercharge specifically anyone that's using foundation. We're going to supercharge that for you. You know, think of ProNovos as your new best friend for financial data. We'll show you how to sift through numbers with ease, finding those golden nuggets of insights that keep you one step ahead of the competition. I think that you are looking to obviously work smarter, not necessarily harder. And this is going to be the workhorse to do that. So I guess getting that out of the way, we can basically get started here. We only have 30 minutes, so I want to make sure that we dive deep into it. You know, as we look at this overview, consider it the what of your daily, weekly, and monthly operations and strategic objectives. So these aren't just individual tasks. They are the essential responsibilities that each of us as stakeholders in the company must manage diligently. So to the executives, you're the stewards of your company's financial health. You hold the compass that guides everyone towards profitability and sustainable cash flow. This is a pretty heavy crown that you have to wear, and I know you need every tool in your toolbox. Your strategic oversight, specifically in work in progress, revenue forecasting, and cash flow decisions, it truly does shape the future. Now, if we look at for the project managers, I consider them the drivers. So they're steering the wheel of project delivery, ensuring that each milestone is met with, dare I say, precision. And you have to think about their accountability. It extends beyond project reviews. Some call it project reviews, others might call it stand and deliver. This is a time where your PMs are basically being held accountable for the activities of the project. And I wish that was all they do, but they are also managing change orders. They have a lot that they have to do as well. And last but not least, it's the accounting professionals. They're truly the backbone of financial accuracy, from managing AR collections to handling AP and ensuring every company level billing is on point. For all, we think it is imperative that everyone cultivate their analytical skills to ensure that every financial decision is data-driven and precise. So you see, analytics is something that everyone has to be astute at. So if, you know, as we transition from the what, now we're looking at the how. This visualization encapsulates the intricate dance, if you will, of activities and processes that protect and enhance your profits and cash flow. Let's decode this for a moment. So central to the financial ecosystem is, of course, WIP reporting. As a matter of fact, I've spoken with over 50 contractors, accounting firms, and bankers, as well as sureties, and they all concur that the WIP is the most vital financial tool in your arsenal, and traditionally is viewed as a historical snapshot. So the WIP has been seen as a lagging indicator, kind of reflective of what's already happened. But we're in the business of change, of transforming the conventional. And I'd like for you to reimagine the WIP to be transformed into a leading indicator, a crystal ball of sorts, if you will. When it's powered by a real-time data and workflow automation tool, it can truly predict the financial health of the projects and the business. So this is the how and the what. Now let's get into the when. So this basically is an overview of the financial cycle. For those on the webinar, the things that I've just talked about, you're probably already doing. But most often, we find that contractors are doing these activities at frequencies that don't reflect their ideal scenario. This is what we found to be the best cadence for the best-in-class contractors. So managing your costs daily, that sounds like a big, huge task for your project managers. But if you're producing every day, then you should be able to manage your production every day. Same for your weekly task. I will go through all of this, but I wanted to give you an overview of how we see it. And basically, I think that I could continue to talk more and more about this. However, I want to just stop for a moment and try to hear from you, audience. And we'll do a quick poll. Let me stop sharing. And maybe, Denver, if you wouldn't mind launching a quick poll. We just want to see, do you use Foundation or Excel for your WIP reporting? Or maybe something else. Maybe there's an other. Let's see.
think we've got just a few more to answer there, but yeah, I am always curious to see how many people are using the over/under report or the WIP report within the foundation program versus, the people that are exporting that data out to Excel or using some other, financial analytics platform as well.
Yeah, Frank, I'm curious. Based on, go ahead. I see you want to jump in there, Frank. Go right ahead.
Well, I just wanted to ask. I mean, I've had a long history of helping clients with various ERPs generate a WIP, and oftentimes it's outside of the ERP, which I think is indicative of why there's a need for a financial intelligence solution like ProNovos. And but Denver, for you in foundation, you have a 10-year history. That's phenomenal there. How often did you see people adopt this process, or let's say the WIP generation, some of the forecasting within the ERP, as opposed to having to do anything outside?
It seemed like a lot of the initial intrigue was always to utilize the WIP within foundation or just the ERP in general. But I think the more that people grow, the more, when you get a new ERP, it's not because, you're losing money, right? We're growing, we're getting more advanced, we need more reporting. So generally, as that happens, we're growing, we're needing more out of the system. So I think to some ERP systems, there's limitations to what you can get out of it and what functionalities they have, natively. So I think that's when people start looking elsewhere, whether it be Excel, whether it be, another tool, maybe ProNovos. But I think that's where people, as they start to grow, they just need more out of the system. So
appreciate that. And Bruce, you were going to ask something, I believe. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. You actually spoke to what I was thinking, and I really like that line. Most people don't change ERPs because they're shrinking. Either they're dissatisfied or they're growing. So I like that. But Denver, I see you're sharing your screen. Walk us through what you think we should take away from today's webinar.
Yeah, I think when it comes to foundation software, just as a whole, we offer some very unique tools that I think when paired with the data that comes from foundation can make some very powerful decisions for those decision makers or just gain insight into their project. So some of the big ticket items that, that I always like to show off for any foundation client in most ERP systems is definitely going to be the WIP, the projections tool, and then our revenue projections tool as well, mainly because revenue projections, that's something that isn't offered natively out of foundation. The projection of costs, there's some nuances and workarounds you can get in foundation, but nothing that's streamlined as what's in ProNovos. And then the WIP, which is what we'll start with here, which is, I think, the most user-friendly version that I've personally worked with. Frank can probably speak to that as well. But I mean, the usability for both accounting and operations, I think is huge for people to adopt a brand new program or a new process to that. So when you're looking at something like the WIP, all this data is being synced in nightly, and all the information is in there up to date. So there's no having to download or import or export data from one to another, because we have that direct connection between foundation and ProNovos. So all the data would just populate from the accounting system. So all the jobs would show up in the list. And we could start taking a look at, contract amounts, budgets, costs, over/under calculations, percent complete. I mean, there's tons of different ways that you can format this on the fly. I know in a lot of accounting systems, including foundation, there's a lot of back and forth when trying to manipulate the report. Oh, I want to sort it by this, or maybe I want to sort it by that. The nice thing about it is it's just instant. I mean, if we want to run it by project manager, you click it, it loads it and reorganizes the whole WIP report by project manager, right? So you kind of have that information ready.
Sorry to interrupt. There's something that I want to ask you, because it's been on my mind, and I never had an opportunity to ask you. So you've seen probably hundreds of WIPs, if not thousands, in your career. Mm-hmm. And you said just now that that ProNovos gives you the ability to see the data differently. So you're speaking primarily about the grid. We went from something prior to now the project manager. There's an interesting concept regarding workspace. So I'm very curious. You've done quite a few implementations, and the workspace is something that came out maybe last year. Tell me how you envision people that uses Foundation and ProNovos can utilize something like that.
Yeah, the cool part about it, with not only just kind of making some of these adjustments on the fly, whether it's columns or groupings, but those workspaces are what we've seen a lot of our customers, they'll be able to have different views. So maybe we have an operations view, a CEO view, a bonding company view, the accountant's view. So you can create all these different views in the system. So that way, if you wanted to just flip flop between, hey, the default or my executive summary whip, it's just, you build the template. As you can see, the KPIs and the charts have changed, as well as the columns down here. But all that can be built in directly into the whip. So that way, just changing from one view to another is just as simple as clicking, a couple of buttons there. So it makes the usability and just navigation of it there's that much simpler.
I like it. I like it. Hence, my opening remark was, we want to change how contractors view the whip from a historical lagging indicator to a dynamic, up-to-date leading indicator. And I know that you haven't gotten there yet, but I just wanted to just show that connection. So thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And one quick value add. I don't want to slow your roll either, but I get excited when I see it, because I've done so many ERP implementations with the good intention of using the whip out of the ERP, and we don't typically end up there. We end up doing something separate, usually Excel, but you don't have the immediate feedback. It is a rear view mirror kind of report, looking at last month or a snapshot in time. But here, as you're manipulating, I'm also getting immediate insight feedback with the visuals. Am I reading that right?
Yeah. So you would be able to look at different things like contract amounts, profit, billings to date by project manager, by job types, by location, if you're using those kind of maintenance records within the ERP system. But yes, immediate, you'd be able to just hover over those and see very quickly, who's our leading project manager by contract amount, or, hey, based on our contract amounts by project class, we do a lot of education, right? So immediately kind of have that information right in front of you.
That's excellent. Thank you, Denver. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when you're talking about being proactive when it comes to project management or accounting, the tool that I think does that probably the most in ProNovos is the projections tool. So in the whip, you're able to manage your projected costs at the job level. So if I wanted to change your 4.1 million to 4.2, we could click in here, we could update the whip, and we can make those changes. Right now, if I wanted to get into more detail behind that 4.1 million, right, that's where our projected final cost tool, I think, really shines. And a lot of our customers that are using Foundation and ProNovos have found that, in Foundation, you have to basically do a lot of change orders to accommodate for projections, as opposed to making real projected final costs or cost to complete entries, right? Because the difference here is that you're able to project not only that final cost or cost to complete, or even percent complete, we can actually project out our hours to complete based on actual labor rates or a manually typed in labor rate if we wanted a slightly different rate. So like, for example, if I wanted to edit, we're going to say we're going to be at 50 hours total. So we've got 10 hours remaining, or 42 hours remaining. What it would do is it would say 42 hours times, let me make a comment here. So if we make our change, we're able to pick why we're making that change. So if we're reducing our hours down, maybe we've got faster production rates, right? And we can type in sort of notes along with that. So you get that qualitative analysis in addition to that quantitative analysis, right? So not only are we seeing our costs remaining, but we can actually view a report that will show us all the entries that we've made on this job and where we're looking as far as profitability.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about profitability because we all know that profit fade is almost synonymous to just construction management. But it doesn't have to be that way. I think that when you know the why behind profit fade, or you know the why behind increasing your productivity, it again gives you the levers that you need to make change. And maybe now's a good time to ask the audience for their thoughts around how they manage profit fade. So if you could launch that, I'd love to hear from you, audience. Do you have a good handle on managing profit fade? And so while we wait on this, Frank, what does it mean to be able to make decisions based on data like this? I'm curious. Again, you're the the expert in this area. So tell me what you think about that.
Well, this is what I think when I hear that, Bruce. Is most of the folks I've worked with, they do their report as an obligatory part of their process, give it to the bonding company, surety, but it's not used as a financial instrument to gain insights and have the data at your fingertips to make a decision while it's still impactful and can have a positive impact in the trajectory of the job, the cost code, or what have you. And so when I see the usability and the visuals, data is a must, but you're combining it with I think, ease of use and immediate feedback with some nice visuals so that you can, hey, why is that number too low? Why is our projected profit on the decrease? And do something about it before it's just a history report. So,
Right.
Well said. Well said.
Catching these things in real time, I think, is what really makes a difference for a lot of contractors. And, we don't get to the end of the job and now all of a sudden we're seeing our profit go, way south, right? We can see this month over month as we're making these projection updates into the system, right? So the other part that I want to get to before we get to some of the Q&A and some other closing remarks here is the revenue projections tool. So with the projected cost feature, there's a timeline view that will allow you to project out your costs on a monthly basis, right? So you can straight line it, you can S-curve it, you can manually type in those values. But what this would allow you to do is if we're going through each job and projecting out those monthly costs, we can have a tool like our revenue projections where it'll give us all of our active jobs, so jobs that are going on this year, and we'll be able to see all of our projected revenue versus actual revenue for each individual project. So if we're looking at, our target for the year is, in this case, 30 million, we've got 27 accounted for at this point, where do we need to pick up work, right? And I think that's where you're starting to look at, resources, at the amount of jobs that you guys can take on at any one point. But this tool is definitely something that we see a lot of success with clients that are using Foundation to manage, the workload that they have for the rest of the year.
Hey, Denver, you're probably going to get to this, but I just have to ask really quickly because I think this could be a financial game changer, honestly, for the Foundation users out there. Are you, by any chance, going to be showcasing this at the Foundation User Conference, I believe, coming up next week?
Yes. So next week we'll have a booth there. We'll have the the demo station going where anyone can get a demo of ProNovos with sample data, or if you want to demo your own data, we can talk about that beforehand, and that way you guys can see your own information within the ProNovos lens, if you will, to look at all of your own Foundation information within the software.
Denver, just to clarify, say that again. If somebody wants to see this solution with their actual real Foundation data, that's a possibility? Did I hear that right?
Yes, that is. And we can do it within a 24-hour period. So if we can get in touch prior to that conference, if we're going to be down there and, we can get your database connected, show it off, no cost.
Give people a moment to write that down. I think that's a powerful statement. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, Denver. I just got excited. Keep going.
And Frank, I can understand your bewilderment, if I may say, behind that, because it's a big lift to take data from an ERP and put it into a platform and provide this type of analysis almost instantly. And as a CEO, I think I probably where the chief data scientist had a lot more. It was no easy task to do. So we spent a lot of time working with Foundation. We're trusted Foundation partners, and I think that they through our partnership, we've been able to make that happen.
That's tremendous. And one thing, just thinking for the audience out there, maybe folks on their team that weren't able to see live, is there any chance this will be shared as a recording so they can share it with their team members if they want?
Yes, this will be recorded and sent out immediately after, or I think tomorrow will be when everyone gets a recording of this.
Excellent. Well, I know it's only 5 minutes, so I'll try and behave now, Denver, and let you kind of take it away.
No worries.
And by the way, if there are any questions, please drop the questions in. We'll gladly take those questions, and if we don't know something, we'll make it up. No, I'm joking. We'll get back to you if we don't know the answer to the questions. Yeah, so we're talking about revenue projections. Based on your experience with the Foundation clients, how many of them do you feel are doing this outside of ProNovos? Because I believe Foundation doesn't have this built into their software. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I would say, I mean, yeah, they don't offer it within Foundation. And I know that a lot of people will use Excel to project out their revenue for the year, but it's definitely something that's just a very quick time to value as far as, tools that are readily available for those Foundation users being the revenue projections tool here.
Hey, Denver, if you don't mind, I just noticed a really good question pop up. May I read it for the audience and you can take it?
Absolutely.
So good question. Possible to include unposted billings and accounts payable and pending change orders in the WIP and projections functionality?
So for the WIP, we can showcase the pending change orders, and we can also include the pending change orders in those contract amounts. There's some settings for that. So while you don't have to include it, you can also find a column in here for the pending change orders, include that in the WIP, and you can even, throw it up towards the top, save it, and then you've got your additional column there. As far as unposted billings and AP, it's kind of a tricky situation with including unrecorded costs against the job cost section. We haven't done it to this point, but not something that's out of the realm of possibilities.
Thanks for clarifying. Thank you.
Great question. One other question. You mentioned that it was synced nightly. Is there an option to sync it more frequently? Denver, you got to take this one, man.
Yes, there is a function of syncing now. So at the top of the screen, we would have the ability to, for our Foundation users, be able to sync the data in a live environment. So if we wanted to sync it right now, we would click the sync data. It would take just a couple minutes, and all that information would be live and in ProNovos. So you don't have to wait till the first thing in the morning. This is probably the most excited any of us have been about a feature being rolled out, is the live sync. So this is one of, we're very excited to get this going for everybody and, enabled on everyone's account. So yes, we would be able to sync this throughout the day.
Denver, that's fantastic. And I will tell you why. Nightly sync is fine in mid-month, doing your thing. But when you get to the end of a period, be it month or quarterly, a lot of times there's adjustments. I need to sync. I want to see it now. This puts the power of up-to-date data in the user's hands. So,
yep, for everyone that's making those last-minute adjustments.
And, I know we've got just a minute left, Bruce. So I don't know if you wanted to have any final questions, comments, thoughts.
I didn't get a chance to get to all of the questions, but I want to thank everyone for those questions. We will get back to you with some answers. Thank you for the question. Sorry, we did not have time. Last poll question. Would you like to see a live demo of ProNovos? And as Frank said, this could be a demonstration of your data. This could be an opportunity for you to speak with someone at ProNovos and talk about what your data says. So if you want to get a demo, say yes. If no, thank you for your time, and I hope to see you in Nashville next week. That'll be exciting.
Great.
And come to my session if you haven't registered. It'll be a great educational session.
Bruce, is there a final slide? Could you hit enter? I thought there was one I saw on the deck.
There we go. Oh, yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and folks out there, if these slides are helpful, there's some good resources. I'm trying to learn myself, so I've watched the WIP video, very good. The ebook 101 I've read. If you want this deck just for informational purposes and have access to the resources, I don't want to answer for the ProNovos team, but I'm going to go to the limb and say if you ask nicely for the deck, they'll share it with you. I'll let Bruce and Denver confirm that.
That's correct. Yes, if you would like to have access to the deck, just let us know. As a matter of fact, we'll probably send it to you anyway. But on behalf of the ProNovos team, thank you, Frank. Thank you, Denver, and thank you, good people, for joining. And we will be in touch.
Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.
All right, guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.